All right, today we're unpacking a blueprint for unity that comes from a really fascinating ancient text, Ephesians chapter 4. And what's amazing is how it gives us this surprisingly modern framework for building a strong, tight-knit community. So yeah, let's just dive right in and see how this whole thing works.
So think about it for a second. Any great team you've ever been on. Could be a sports team, a project at work, maybe even just your family when everything's going right. What is it that makes it click? You know? How do you go from just being a bunch of individuals to becoming this powerful, unified force? It's a question people have been asking forever.
Well, believe it or not, this ancient letter we're looking at offers a really detailed blueprint for exactly that. It literally lays out a strategic plan for how you can take all these different individual strengths, harness them, and build something together that's strong, mature, and can weather any storm.
Okay, so let's get into the first piece of this blueprint. It all kicks off with this really core idea that every single person brings something unique to the table. The text calls these gifts, and they're given for a very specific reason. So, the foundational principle here is that this grace or gift is given to each person individually. It's totally tailored to them. This is not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. The text actually says that each person gets their gift according to the gifts Christ gave, which really suggests, a very deliberate, very personal distribution of roles and abilities across the whole group. And it doesn't just leave it at that. The text gives some really concrete examples of what these gifts actually look like in practice. It lists out roles like apostles, prophets, evangelists, and pastor-teachers. Now, the key thing to get here is that these aren't just like abstract talents. No, they are specific jobs, specific functions designed to serve the entire community. And when you look at it, this reveals a pretty clear four-step process. It's super logical. Step 1, the gifts are given out. Step 2, those gifts are then used to equip God's people for their service. And what's the result of all that equipping and serving? Well, the community gets stronger. It gets built up. It's a system that is literally designed for everyone to grow together. Okay, let's move on to the next part and see where this is all going. I mean, if everyone using their gifts is the how, then what's the why? What is the actual end goal of this whole blueprint? Well, the text has a name for it: collective maturity.
So, maturity. What does that even mean in this context? The source defines it as reaching a mature and genuine human life. And we're not talking about age here, not at all. It's all about stability and unity. And the benchmark for this maturity, the thing you measure it against, is what the text calls Christ's fullness, which is basically a standard of complete coherence and integrity. And the text paints a really stark contrast between this goal of stable maturity and the very real danger of immaturity. It uses some super vivid language, describing an immature community as being tossed around by cunning tricks and false teaching. So it becomes really clear that this blueprint isn't just a nice plan for growth, it's also a defense mechanism against chaos and, well, being deceived. Which brings us to the final, and honestly maybe the most profound part of this whole blueprint. You've got all these different people with all these different gifts, so what's the glue? What's the force that actually holds it all together? The text points to one central, unifying power. Now this is where we get to what the source itself calls a strange passage. Seriously, it talks about Christ first descending to the lower depths and then ascending far above all the heavens. And yeah, at first glance, that can sound pretty cryptic, right? But it actually serves a hugely important function in this blueprint for unity. The whole point of this journey, this up and down movement, is stated right there in the text. It's so that he could fill all things. And that doesn't just mean being everywhere at once. No, it's about establishing a complete unifying presence and authority over the entire system. It's suggesting that the unifier of this whole community is someone who encompasses every single part of it, from the absolute lowest depths to the highest heavens. And this is really the capstone of the whole blueprint. This final image just powerfully sums up the unifier's role. So after giving out all the gifts and setting the goal of maturity, this central figure actively joins and holds together the whole body. This is the force that makes sure all the individual gifted parts are actually working together as one cohesive living thing. So, when you step back, this ancient text lays out a really clear model, doesn't it? You have diverse individual gifts, a shared goal of growing up together, and this central unifying force. And it kind of leaves us with a fascinating question to chew on in our own lives. Beyond just a shared belief system, what is that essential glue? What really holds any community together and allows it to not just survive, but to truly thrive?